Hello everyone, so welcome to the seventh episode of the NgRx tutorials. Till now what we have seen is we have seen how an action gets created, how an action gets dispatched from a component. We saw how an effect gets triggered whenever an action is dispatched. We saw how we update a reducer and how the reducer returns us the updated state. These are the few things which we already covered in the previous episodes. So this video will be based on some of the good practices that you follow with NgRx. So one of them is the facade pattern that you will follow. So we'll quickly see what that is. And before that, what we have seen till now is if I go back to our code. So in view contacts, so let's say if I want to dispatch an action, what I've done is I have injected the store in the constructor, and I'm actually using the this.store.dispatch. And let's say if I want to select some data from the store, then what I do is I use the this.store.select. Okay, so I have a hard dependency on the store here, right? So let's say in this component I have just dispatched one action, but going ahead there will be multiple actions that will get dispatched. And let's say as and when the what I call the store scales and the app state scales, there will be multiple selectors which will come into the picture, right? So in one component there can be multiple actions that will be dispatched, and there will be multiple selectors for which I'll be writing the this.store.select and this.store.dispatch, right? So the thing is, there's a hard dependency on the NgRx store here, and this is just for one component. So similarly, I mean, if we have multiple components, there can be hundreds of actions that will be dispatched from multiple components, and there will be multiple selectors as well. So the thing is, we need to make the components independent of the store. Okay, so it should the store logic should not reside inside a component. It should actually reside in a common place which is called as the app state facade service. So the facade service will actually talk to the store directly, and it will return back whatever the component wants. Okay, so in our case, what we'll be doing is we'll be shifting all the logic of the store. All the store implementation will go into this service, and then later this service is going to return back whatever the components want. Okay, so now let's begin by creating the service first. So if I just run another instance here, if I just say ng generate service, let's call it app state facade. Okay, so this is done. So let's go and check it out. So in app state facade service, this is provided in root, so we don't have to put this app state facade service in the providers of the app component. Now what we'll do is we'll put, so let's say this is public store, the NgRx store. We'll import that, and we'll give it a generic of app state. Okay, so those two things are imported. Now the other thing is we need to move all our actions within this service. So if I go back to view contacts, there is one action here to fetch contacts. I'll cut this, go back to the app state facade service, name it fetch contacts. Okay, and let's say it's not returning anything for now as we are dispatching an action. Okay, and we'll import the action here. Okay, so that's one thing. And the second thing was basically to select all the contacts. So for that we'll create a getter function, call it get contacts. Okay, and it will basically return an observable of contact array. Okay, so here we'll say this dot store dot select, and we'll say contacts. Okay, so this should basically be return this dot store dot select contacts. Okay, so now let's clean up our view contacts component. We have already removed the action. So firstly, what we'll do is we'll dispatch the action using, okay, before that we need to remove the store dependency here. So we'll go here, we'll remove the store dependency because we don't actually need it, and we'll add something called as the app state service, which will be of type app state facade service. Okay, now we'll use this and we'll dispatch the action first, which we had actually removed out. This dot app state service dot fetch contacts. Okay, so this will basically dispatch our action, and for our selector what we'll do is we'll say this dot contacts array is equal to this dot store dot this dot app service dot get contacts. Okay, as this is a getter function, we need not write the open and closed round brackets. Okay, so now let's save this and let's go back to our, okay, it's compiled successfully, and if I go back to the UI and if I refresh it, our UI still holds true. Okay, so this way I mean we have moved all the store logic from the components to the app state facade service. All right, now along with this there are a few other good practices that you can follow. One is along with the view components, TS and HTML, we can create another view contacts dot component dot subscription dot ts. Okay, so all the selectors that you will have in your component will go inside this. So let's create another function here and name it view contacts subscription. Okay, and let's say this is self of type any. Okay, now in your TS we basically have this selector, right? So we'll cut this from here, we'll go to the function, as we are named it self here, let's name it self and self. Okay, and we need to call that function in our constructor. Okay, so let's call it view contact subscription and pass this here. Okay, let's save this. So that's one thing. So what we have done is, going ahead, if there are any selectors, then those selectors will actually go into the subscriptions file, as we'll maintain all the subscriptions within a separate subscriptions file. Okay, so if I save this and if I go back to the UI, this still holds true. Okay, and one more thing what we forgot in our last lecture was, so we had actually subscribed to the contacts, but we forgot to unsubscribe it, right? So what we can do is we can say contact subscription, okay, which will be of type subscription. Now this you can actually put it here. Okay, and you can actually create an on destroy. Okay, so you'll have to, once you implement on destroy, you will have to have this ng on destroy lifecycle, right? So here what you can say is, if this dot contact subscription exists, then you need to contact subscription dot unsubscribe. Okay, so this will help us in avoiding any memory leaks once the component is destroyed. Okay, so if I refresh the screen, the code still holds true. Okay, so we'll end the video here, and if you like this video, do give it a like, do share it with your friends, and do subscribe to the channel. Thank you everyone.